Hello and welcome. I'm Keegan Hirst and this is the Hirst Locker, the podcast for men who want to build an incredible body, a rock-solid mindset and unstoppable confidence. It's for men who want to live life on their terms and live it to their full potential. I've helped hundreds of men transform their lives, giving them the knowledge, the tools and the self-belief to help them smash through the glass ceiling that stopped them from achieving their dreams. And I want to do the same for you. Now we're going to focus on physical, mental and emotional health, things that affect us as gay men so that we can live life on our terms, build the body that we want and feel confident living that life. I'm going to help you cut through the noise and confusion to give you the confidence and clarity to take action and build the best version of yourself, to give you complete control of your body, your mindset, your habits and ultimately your life. So let's get to it. Hello, welcome to the Hirst Locker, and in this episode, I want to follow on from last week. I spoke on a bit about Pride Month, and in this episode, I want to talk about attacks on gay confidence. This is something that came up on one of our live workshops at PTIQ. Now, at PTIQ, we get special guests in to talk about certain topics, covering all sorts of things, but this one we got Lex Esquire, who's the author, operator, I don't know what the word is, for the Instagram account, The Boring Gay, right? And I would highly recommend you go give him a follow. Now, he had a great talk with us about attacks on gay confidence, and I wanted to pick up on a few points that he made, because by that I mean, you know, as gay men, and I can only speak as a gay man because that is my experience of the world. I don't assume to understand anybody else's experience, you know, and you know, I do appreciate that not everybody listening to this podcast is gay, but gay men are bombarded with attacks on their confidence day to day. You know, the idea being that if you're a gay man and you become aware of this stuff, then you can begin to not get triggered by it, because the first part of solving any problem is by becoming aware of it. Now, if you can see it for what it is, you can navigate it. Now, if you're listening to this podcast and you're not a gay man, don't turn it off, because maybe this will give you a little look behind the velvet curtain, so to speak. So I just want to cover 5 things that are, or certainly can feel like, attacks on your confidence as a gay man. So number 1, I want to start with social media, all right? It's a biggie. Now, there is social media and there is gay social media. And by that, I predominantly mean Instagram, all right? And if you let it, it can be exhausting for numerous reasons. But, there are a couple of things with social media, and in particular gay social media, that can feel like attacks. Now, the first is that if it's gay and it's on social media, it's usually something to do with sex or nudity. As if you're not semi-naked, or you don't have an OnlyFans, or you're not talking about sex and rimming and stuff like that, then you're not valid or interesting. Now, don't get me wrong, right? I like sex as much as the next man, which, let's face it, is quite a bit. But when we're constantly bombarded with it, it reduces its value. Now, whether that's as something intimate with someone or something that's personal, it can devalue sex. And if we as gay men are told that we equate to sex, then by proxy it devalues us. So that's one point on it. And then we can talk about image, okay? There are gay brands, there are gay distributors, there are gay media outlets that portray a single image of what a gay man looks like. And for anyone who's listening, I'm doing inverted commas there. And they're usually white. They've usually got a 6-pack, big pecs, chiseled jaw, classically handsome. You know the guy, generic handsome fucker. But that isn't what gay men look like. That isn't what any man looks like. And it perpetuates this idea that if you don't look like that, then you are a second-class gay. And I mean, we're going to get into shame and everything later in our place in society and how we've been made to feel to when we grow up. But, you know, that has a massive impact on us and our confidence. And you can look at all the Insta gays on Instagram they all look the same. They all know each other. And you can sit and think, God, I'll never look like that. So does that mean I won't ever fit in? Does that mean I won't have any friends like that? And then you open a magazine or you buy something and you see the model and you think, oh, there's that guy again. There's how I'm supposed to look and I don't feel like I can. So the thing is, right, you can look like that if you want to, but it should be your choice. Not because you are made to feel less than if you don't. So be very disciplined with who you follow on socials. If they make you feel less than, if they make you feel inadequate, if they make you feel not good enough, if they trigger you, unfollow it. If you think, God, if only I looked like that, that is not motivation. That is not body goals. It's demoralizing and it's demotivating as fuck. All right? So that's that on social media. There are numerous things within that. Point number 2 is having to mute or to play down parts of yourself to fit in. Okay. Now this is something that can happen consciously or unconsciously. And you might feel that you have to water down parts of your personality because if you didn't, then people would comment or they wouldn't like it. Now that can be at work, it can be at family gatherings, it can be meeting new people, it can be in certain social circles. Sometimes it might not be appropriate to do a high kick into a split shouting, "Yas, Queen, slay," but sometimes it might be. And if you choose not to do it because it's not appropriate, if you choose not to do it because it's not because it's not appropriate, there's lots of nots in there, but because your fear of the impact that it will have on how people see you, then you are muting parts of your personality. You know, if you're actively avoiding doing something because of the reception you're worried it will get, you are actively muting parts of your personality. When you avoid saying "my boyfriend" because you're worried it will draw attention, you're downplaying parts of your personality. You're muting yourself. When you have to check yourself for a fear of a reaction, you are downplaying this. Now, there's an Irish drag queen called Panty Bliss, and she does an incredible speech about checking yourself. Check it out on YouTube. It's about checking yourself. And listen, I've done this in the past before. I remember once being in the airport when we were playing rugby. We were playing away in France, and I was reading a book called Good As You by a guy called Paul Flynn. It's an amazing book. It's about 50 years of gay culture in Britain. Recommend reading it. And I was reading it, and on the cover there's a picture of 2 guys kissing, and all the lads knew that I was out. It wasn't an issue that I was gay. This was well after I came out. And I remember being stood in the airport and there were lots of people milling around. And I suddenly became very aware that there were 2 guys kissing on the cover of this book. And I remember closing it, snapping it shut and tucking it under my arm so that people couldn't see the cover. And that I was doing that because I became very conscious of where I was, what people's perceptions might be. I also then felt really fucking guilty because, you know, I'm supposed to be, people see me as some kind of role model. And, you know, certainly at that time, still dealing with shame and things like that. So little things like that, where you affect your day-to-day behavior, that is checking yourself, and that is downplaying part of who you are. And every time you do that, it chips away at your confidence. It erodes it. So be aware of it. Now, the flip side of that is point number 3, is having to play up certain traits. So this is the opposite of the last point, and it often happens when people know that you're gay and they expect you to play a part. They expect you to be the overly flamboyant one. They expect you to scream "yas" at everything. They want to talk about sex all the time. They want you to fill the role of the gay best friend. They want you to go shopping. They want to ask you about some cushions. All these stereotypes. Now, you can look at this on the surface and say that, well, people are embracing your gayness, and that's a good thing. Yes, true. But when you are expected to play a role, to behave a certain way, just to meet someone's expectations, it's a faux acceptance. Yes, that's French for false. It's saying, oh, we like this kind of gay, Or even worse, it's saying you're gay entertainers. And then we, as the gay man, become Russell Crowe in Gladiator, and after voguing or attempting to, you're there panting thinking, are you not entertained? Yes, that was a Gladiator quote. Now, I've done this myself at rugby, and I appreciate that when I was playing, being the only gay rugby player in the team is quite novel. It's quite a novel position to be in, but certainly early doors, before I was really comfortable with who I am, I wanted the lads to think, gay people are fun, they're easy, we're funny, and everything's easy going, and I played up to that a bit, and I played a part, and for a lot of them, I was the only gay person that they knew, and I wanted to set a good example. Gays are good, like gays, please like all the gays. But in my naivety, what I was doing, I was playing a part, and I was saying, this is how gays behave. This is what you should expect gay people to do. Now, listen, I'm not saying that you can't drag out a chair into the middle of the floor and do a rendition of Mein Herr from Cabaret. If you want to, God knows I have. But if you feel like you have to do something like that, then that is an attack on your confidence, and that is not okay. Point number 4 that I want to cover is shame. Now, fuck me. Where do you start with this one? Now, there are so many layers to shame that everybody, gay, straight, black, white, Roman Catholic, whoever, everybody has to deal with shame. But as gay men, we get an extra few layers just for us. Because there's shame, and there's gay shame. There's growing up in a society where gay is seen as a negative. That's gay. Don't be gay. Every one of those comments, every one of those slips that people make is an attack on your confidence. Every time you were worried about somebody finding out you were gay, or worrying about having to tell someone, that's shame. The shame of wanting to have sex with another man, and then the guilt and the shame that you used to feel maybe after, or maybe even still do after sex. God, that was something that I struggled with for a long time. So every time you think about or have sex, there's shame, which I guess is why sex might be seen as a big part of being gay, because it's a reclaiming of that. I used to feel bad about shame, and now sex is great, and so I talk about it all the time, but it doesn't take away the fact that the shame is there. Then we have shame from within the community, femme shaming, body shaming, slut shaming, being shamed because you're not white, being shamed because you are white and therefore you're privileged and you should know better. We are, as LGBT people, certainly as gay men, we are an incredible community, but fuck me, we do not make it easy for ourselves. Then there's the shame for wanting to conform to the heterosexual orthodoxy, to fit in, to have a family, to live in the suburbs. Or there's the shame for wanting to be out there, here, queer. Everywhere you look, there's something you could be ashamed of. It's something we as gay men have to constantly work on. And this internalized shame, it drives our self-esteem issues, all right? Which leads me on to point number 5, and that is that status. Because of this lived shame, we then feel the need to constantly prove ourselves. We need to, we do it through numerous ways, all right? Whether it's your job title, how much money you have, your popularity, the car you drive, the clothes you wear, the awards you win, the body you have, your partner. We are constantly overcompensating and trying to claw back from those attacks on our confidence. It's as if we're saying, yeah, I'm gay, but I have a great job. Yeah, I'm gay, but I have an amazing body. I have a nice car. I have a big house. I have loads of friends. The thing is, those things do not fill that gap. Trust me, I've tried very hard. Because we think that I'll be enough when I have this or I get that. You get there, you get it, and guess what? It's not enough. You still feel there's still that void. Now, like I said, I've done this myself. I've done this with work. I've done it with my body. None of them made me feel good enough when I got there. It just made me feel, oh, I should do better. Because the truth is, I am good enough as I am now. as are you. If you are listening to this, if you are watching this, you are good enough as you are. Can we be better? Fuck, yes, we can. Should we want to be better? I think so. Personally, I think if you're not growing, you're dying. But it should be for our own self-actualization, not to prove to someone, something, society, or indeed ourselves. It should be from an intrinsic want to be better for us to enjoy life more, not as a point-proving exercise. And as nice as it is to achieve something as a big fuck you to somebody, in the end, it's a fleeting moment in time, a fleeting emotion. And then when you achieve it and you give someone the big fuck you, you feel ashamed for being so petty. You are literally on a hide into nothing. So, I mean, there you go. That's me elaborating on a few things that, as gay men, attack our confidence. So please be aware of these. Be vigilant. Have the introspection to ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. You will be amazed. You will be amazed how much better you feel when you do things because you want to, not because you feel you have to. So I hope that has helped you. I hope that has enlightened you. I hope that's opened your eyes to a few things, or made you aware of a few things that maybe were kind of nagging at the back of your head and you didn't know how to pin it down. So if you've enjoyed this, all the usual things, like it, share it, comment it, review it, let's spread the word. And I think this is a really important topic that us as men, as gay men, need to be aware of. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to the Hirst Locker.